So here we are with the sample we were working on earlier, and this is all knitting. That means that all the stitches were done inserting the needle front to back and then bringing it through. And so the loops or the purls end up on alternate sides. So when we're working from this side, the loops will go to the back. When we're working on this side, the loops go to the other side, and here's what the garter stitch looks like. But you might ask yourself, well, what if I want all the loops to go to the same side? And so in order to do that, we do what's called purling, and that's P-U-R-L. And the way that you purl is that normally when you're knitting, you're going to insert the needle front to back. But when you're purling, you do the opposite. You're going to insert the needle back to front. And then you're going to, again, bring the yarn around the needle, and then use the needle to pull it through to the back, and when you slip the last row's loop off, the purl goes to the front now. So we're going to do that again. We're going to insert the needle back to front, bring the yarn around, and pull it through on that side. Okay, so insert back to front, pull the yarn around, and then slip the last row off. So at this point, we've got one row of knitting before we started, and then we're going to do a row of purling. So this is knit one row, purl one row. And that stitch has a specific name too. That's called the stockinette stitch. So I'm going to just finish this row. Okay, so now we've got two rows right after each other where the purls or the loops are going to the back, or going to the same side, and so we start to see this pattern. So I have a sample of that right here. This is the stockinette stitch. This is where you're knitting one row and then purling the next row, and so all the loops go to the back. This is a very common stitch that's used as kind of a basic sweater stitch. So I'm gonna do a couple more rows of that, and then I'm going to show you how you can use the purl stitch to do other kinds of patterns. So I'm going to knit. Now you notice I'm tensioning with my left hand. And this is something that will really speed up your knitting, but don't feel like you have to learn this right away. But all I do is just I grab the yarn with my pinky, and let's see, so I grab it like this and then hold it with my index finger, and then I can spread my fingers like this to tension the yarn. And by holding it with my left hand like this, I avoid all of the moving the yarn around with my right hand. So I'm going to just do that quickly. Don't worry about that. I can talk about that a little bit later again so that you don't have to worry about doing that right away. You can start out without doing the tensioning, but you'll notice how much faster I can move when I'm using my left hand for the tensioning, and I can just grab the yarn and go. Okay, so now I'm going to do the purling, and now instead of having the yarn toward the back like I did when I was knitting, I have to have the yarn toward the front in order to purl. So, and again, I'm going to still use the left hand tensioning, Again, I'm inserting the needle from back to front, wrapping it, bring it through, and pulling the other stitch right off of the needle. Okay, so here is the stockinette stitch, and you can see a bigger sample of that over here. Stockinette stitch from the front and from the back.